In this video, I'll be forecasting a rare mid to late April snowstorm to bring in some snow across the country here, across the plains from Oklahoma up into portions of the Northeast here. We're seeing as well a pretty intense cold front that's going to be on the backside of the system to bring in 20 to 30 degrees below average. Some very, very cold temperatures for this time of the year. And as well, looking at for some intense snowfall all the way from the Rockies to portions of the Northeast and Great Lakes. But without further ado, let's get in the video. So let's go ahead and look at this snowstorm that's going to actually begin as early as tomorrow. Across the day. So we're going to start seeing a high pressure across portions of western and central Canada. It's going to start seeing that setup here for some really cold air across portions of the north central and as well just northern United States in general here. We're going to be seeing the low pressure just to the south here. And we're going to be seeing some really cold air, and we're going to be seeing some backup moisture from the low pressure up there across portions of the Great Lakes. And it's going to bring in some widespread snow across much of the north central United States and as well some pretty intense snowfall specifically across the heart of the Rockies and portions of Colorado and as well portions of southern Montana across tomorrow. As we now get later into tomorrow around 8 o'clock here, so basically late in the evening hours, we're going to start seeing that low pressure there developing into the southwest. And of course, we have that very cold air coming from the southern portion of Canada, going to be with the moisture, so perfect setup here with some pretty intense snow. As we're going to be seeing possibly well below freezing temperatures across portions of Colorado, Wyoming, and just the Rockies in general. You're going to be seeing possibly some teens and 20s just across the region here. So very, very variable temperatures here for some pretty intense snowfall. And that'll continue all the way up into tomorrow or into Tuesday morning here. But by Tuesday morning, it'll become a lot more widespread, extending into Kansas there, Nebraska, Iowa. So it's going to start branching out of the Rockies in the mountain range and become a lot more widespread. And so again, as we now go to around Tuesday, it's going to be the main day here. Tuesday in the morning, very rare snow across portions of the central plains. Some very intense snow possibly across Kansas City. Some pretty intense snow there across St. Joseph. Some pretty intense snow there all the way into Chicago and as well Washington, Illinois. So some really rare snow for this time of the year here. And as far as the south central, going to start seeing some snow there in Oklahoma and portions of the panhandle of Texas. So we're going to be seeing some really rare snow as far down as Oklahoma. So this is not something you typically see in April 20th. Like, you know, that's basically 11 days from May. So this is very rare to see here. Again, we have that very intense high pressure right here across South Dakota. That's going to bring in a very cold air right on the backside of this whole system. So you have that cold from right on the backside of that moisture and that snowstorm. But it's going to bring some pretty intense snow across areas like Topeka, some pretty intense snow even near Tulsa. Possibly some snow showers are likely as far south as Tulsa. Maybe some pretty good snow there across central and northern Missouri. And it's going to stretch as far as Lake Michigan here. Some pretty good snow there for Chicago. Maybe some good snow there in areas like Kalamazoo. And then as we now get into Tuesday evening here, almost at midnight, the snow's going to get a lot more intense here. Some very, very intense snow across portions of the Mississippi River Basin, including St. Louis there. Some good snow there in southern Illinois. And some very heavy snow across areas like Detroit, very heavy snow in Indianapolis, very heavy snow across Fort Wayne, Springfield, Illinois, possibly even down there in southeastern Kansas City, St. Louis, and Poplar Bluff. But as we now get later into now Wednesday morning, it's going to go all the way down south into north central and northwestern Texas. I mean, we may see some snow showers, not Texas or Tennessee. We may have some snow showers as far south as northern Tennessee. I mean, that's going to be April 21st. When do you see snow in April 21st or in the late portion of April as far as south as Tennessee? That's just something you see there. But there's a high pressure there in Minnesota, bringing that very, very intense cold air. You got to see that ridge right there setting up across portions of the Dakotas there and portions of the central United States here. You got the kind of nice moisture coming from the Gulf, so a perfect setup there for some pretty intense snow as far south as Kentucky. So Indianapolis, areas near Toledo, basically some pretty good snow near Columbus, Detroit, Toronto. You guys need to get some really nice snow there. And it's going to carry on now until Wednesday afternoon across portions of the Northeast, and it's going to die out there by Wednesday evening here. But let's go ahead and look at the Nanthery kilometer to see what they're showing here. So in the next few hours, we're going to start seeing some snow developing across the Rockies. Like I did say, we're going to be seeing some pretty intense cold air at the moment here, at least for the next 24 hours. And it's going to bring some scattered snow showers across much of the Rockies and as well across portions of the plains there. Go see some scattered intense snow showers across portions of central Iowa, including Des Moines, Iowa City. But the most intense and widespread snow will kind of limit itself towards the foothills of the Rockies and the heart of the Rockies, including Colorado there, and western South Dakota and western Nebraska. Even some scattered snow showers are likely outside Chicago, and as well even across portions of southern Michigan. Could expect a few scattered showers here, snow showers here within the next few 30 hours or so. But right now, overnight, main snow is going to be across Montana, Wyoming, and South Dakota. Really cold there, some scattered moisture, so it's going to really allow for some good snow showers there. But as we now get in the next 36 hours here, that snow is going to become a lot more widespread there. We have that low pressure kind of developing to the south there. Got that very intense cold front, so we're going to be seeing some widespread below freezing temperatures here. This will most likely be the freezing line, so a lot of the snow, like in Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, will be above freezing, but we could have some very, 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 very slight accumulation since it will be very heavy and lasting a few hours. But within the next 36 hours, very intense snow across much of Kansas there, northern Missouri, southern Iowa, and southeastern Nebraska, Omaha, Lincoln, Kansas City there, Garden City, Dodge City, much of just Kansas in general. We've seen some pretty intense storms by Tuesday morning, basically. Some scattered snow showers developing. So we will have some rain across the Midwest, which will ever so slightly, convert into snow as a result of that very cold air. As we get in the next 42 hours, some very intense snow there. Now moving to the northeast here. This is kind of a typical snowstorm you see in November, December here. This is not a April-like snowstorm. Typically, April, you see some snow kind of going this way, but it's actually going to go this way. And that's really something you see in the early winter, late fall type of storms, like a Thanksgiving storm or maybe a Christmas storm. This is just not something you see whatsoever in not only April but late April. So some very intense snow there across much of the across central plains there, and even up across the Mississippi River Valley. Some pretty intense storm near Davenport, and then even some very, very intense storms and snow across within the next 2 days across Chicago there, Milwaukee, Madison, Wisconsin. May see some scattered snow showers. Even there across central Missouri, including even Joplin may get some pretty good snow. Kansas City may get some pretty good snow. Some scattered sleet possible across northeastern Oklahoma. And as we get the next 50 hours, we're going to see some pretty intense snow across portions of the Great Lakes there. Lake Michigan, some nice snow there near central and southern Michigan. Some pretty intense some snow there near Indianapolis. Good snow near Auburn. Some pretty good snow there. Making its way as far as Evansville. So just something you don't typically see here. But let's now go ahead and take a look now at the Great Lakes here. You can kind of see later on that snow's going to start making its way towards Lake Erie there, across Toledo there, and making its way to Detroit, and soon will make its way within the next 60 beyond hours into areas like Toronto, and then making its way towards Lake Michigan and Lake Huron, or Lake Erie and then Lake Huron. But let's go ahead and see how all this is possible. And of course, it's all going to be possible because of this very rare yet widespread cold front here. So here it is. It's going to bring that high pressure up there into central Canada. Going to bring some really, really cold air there. You're going to kind of have a low pressure kind of setting up across the Rockies. They kind of the cold front to the south. You kind of got that warm front to the north. And then, of course, we got a high pressure. It's going to bring some really, really cold air across northern United States and southern and central Canada. As we now get into that within the next, this is going to be night by tomorrow afternoon. We're going to get this cold front to strengthen, dramatically. Going to get possibly anywhere from 20 to possibly 30 degrees below average across portions of the Rockies and the Midwest here. So that's going to be the area we're going to be watching for the next 24 hours, not only for some really intense cold air, but as well as some pretty intense snow showers. That's going to be all as a result of the 20 to 30 degrees below average here. But it's going to start becoming a widespread now across the Great Lakes there and across the Midwest in general. But as we now get later on here within the next 42 hours, which is kind of when that storm is going to start blowing up across the south central and central plains, that's when that cold front kind of starts to make its way into the area. So it's going to be a very large cold front in general. It's kind of be the center of it, where we have kind of high pressure can be within this area across Minnesota and the Dakotas, but the more intense cold that would kind of stick around across the Rockies and across the central United States here. But we can get some pretty cold air out as far as the southeast here. But look at that really intense cold air. I mean, we're talking possibly 36 degrees below average across portions of the central United States there, and as well across portions of the Rockies. So it's going to start getting a very intense cold front as we get into Tuesday afternoon. So that's kind of when that storm is going to start really blowing up kind of across this area, or sorry, kind of across this area. But like I just said, this cold front is going to kind of be kind of just on the backside of that snowstorm. So we'll start seeing if this cold front kind of were ahead or kind of with this low pressure, we'll be seeing a lot more snow accumulation. But since it's kind of just a little bit behind, we'll be seeing some accumulation, just not as much as we would like if it were November, December. Like I did say, since it's in April, averages are a lot warmer. 60s and 70s are becoming the averages across these areas, but 20 to 30 is still not going to be enough. We're still going to be seeing some 40s and 30s in general, but the worst of that cold will kind of be just on the backside. You can kind of see that as you get now to Tuesday afternoon. And then by Wednesday, kind of be the hot spot there for portions of the Great Lakes, and as well across portions of the Northeast. And of course, some really intense cold there, possibly anywhere from 10 to 25 degrees below average. But let's go ahead and look at the real-time temperatures here, so you can kind of see a very warm week across much of these areas here, across the Southeast, Dixie Valley, South Central, and even the areas that are going to start getting some snow. I mean, look at that, some 70s across the Ozarks, which is exactly where we're going to be seeing some pretty intense cold air later in the week here within around Tuesday. So, I mean, this is going to be seeing a little odd timing here. So, like I did say, some pretty intense cold air across the Rockies, which is exactly where we're going to be watching for that snow overnight. Look how these temperatures dramatically decrease. I mean, look at Oklahoma City, for example. 72 degrees there on, let's see, Monday at 5 o'clock. Let's not go on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Tuesday, 5 o'clock, 46 degrees. I mean, a very big difference as a result of that cold front. But as we now get into now tomorrow, in the evening hours, some really intense cold air. I mean, we're going to be seeing some widespread below freezing temperatures as far south as Texas and Oklahoma. So, I mean, this is not common whatsoever, seeing 31 degrees in Amarillo in mid to late April here, as well as some pretty intense cold air, possibly negative digits across the Rockies and widespread 20s across the north central United States, and even some mid to low 30s as far south as portions of the Central Plains and Ozarks. As we get later on, I mean, so we've seen some pretty warm air across the Southeast and Ohio Valley on Tuesday in the afternoon hours. But like I did say, I mean, it's going to kind of be in the mid 30s there. So Tuesday morning tonight, kind of going to be watching for that snow there across these areas. And like you kind of see, it's going to be just above freezing here, kind of 34, 33, 35. So we will be seeing some accumulation in these areas, but again, it's going to be very minimal. It'll be a lot more accumulation if it were to happen deeper into the winter hours. But again, it's going to start becoming a bit of a threat here by Tuesday night into Wednesday morning across areas across the Midwest, and we're seeing some well below freezing temperatures there, getting some mid-20s there, some high 20s, and then things will kind of warm up right after that. So it's going to kind of be a big difference. So we're going to be seeing some really warm temperatures tomorrow, and then it's going to just like 30, 40 degree difference a day later as a result of that very intense cold front here. Let's now go look at what the models are showing here, snowfall total wise. This is looking now at the 40-hour HRRR, and you kind of see within the next 40 hours we're seeing some pretty intense snowfall all the way from the Rockies, going across the United States there in the central United States, all the way up to the Midwest. And this is just not something you see whatsoever in April. If you were to see some pretty intense storms within the region in April, it'll most likely be kind of right in the Rockies and Western Plains here. I mean, South Dakota, Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming. I mean, these are the hotspots for March and April, but these areas don't typically see snow. I mean, they may see maybe some snow showers, but don't typically see a big snowstorm like we're missing right now. So next 40 hours, some pretty intense snow across portions of the Rockies. There's some scattered areas of over a foot, but the main storm will kind of be obviously out to the Rockies when it goes across the plains here. And we're seeing some widespread areas of anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of snow. Like I did say, if this were to happen in November, December, January, we're seeing possibly a foot or more of snow here. But since it's going to be kind of just above freezing for many of these areas, since it's cold from kind of just behind of this system, we're not going to be seeing much accumulation. We will have some accumulation, just not much here. So you're going to be seeing, like we saw in the HRRR or in the main European, we're seeing some really intense snowfall. But we're only seeing, like, for example, an inch in Kansas City here. But we have a very large area of outside the Rockies where we possibly see anywhere from 2 to 5 inches. That's going to be including north central Illinois, north central Missouri, south central, and just southern Iowa in general, much of Nebraska and northern Kansas. We're really watching out for not only some pretty good snow accumulations, but below freezing temperatures there. Areas like maybe areas like Dodge City may just get a trace, if not anything, May get up to maybe 1 to 2 inches there near Kansas City, possibly 3 to 5 inches near Lincoln and Omaha, possibly even half a foot near Des Moines, anywhere from 1 to 4 inches there across north central Missouri. And obviously, since it only goes 40 hours out, we're not going to get precise information for the Great Lakes and beyond. Here's now a look at the Nantucket kilometer, which goes 60 hours out. You can kind of see a lot better look here, actually getting the snow as far south as northern Arkansas and even as well portions of north and western Kentucky. But scattered areas across the Rockies of over a foot. Again, this is not going to be uncommon. The uncommon part about this is the whole region here getting possibly 3 inches there near Kansas City, some widespread areas of over half a foot here. You kind of see maybe 5 to 6 inches there near Chicago, maybe near a foot in southwestern Missouri, or southwestern Michigan and north central Indiana. But seeing a very widespread area of snow, across the plains, Kansas, Nebraska, all the way up to the Great Lakes here and portions of the Northeast here later on into Wednesday, and as late as early Thursday here. But seeing a lot more in snow. Gonna get nearly an inch there near Dodge City, more snow near Wichita and Topeka, possibly needing an inch or so, or maybe even 2 inches there near Joplin, possibly 2 inches or 3 inches near portion of St. Louis, and a pretty big area of some pretty intense snowfall. As its colder temperatures will kind of make its way and actually reach this system by the time it gets to the Great Lakes. So possibly some higher snowfall totals the further east we go, and that's where we may need to get half a foot there across portion of the Great Lakes here. But here's now a look at the main European global model. And you kind of see they're actually getting snow as far as portions of Oklahoma and even Tennessee there. So you can kind of see there's widespread rocky snow, Colorado, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Colorado or Wyoming. That's kind of the normal part, but kind of really watching out this low pressure to kind of go just around these areas, kind of have the cold front kind of just to the west there. So we're seeing kind of snow for these areas typically across kind of like we're seeing kind of a little trend here of an area of some pretty intense snow here just across much of the central United States. And you kind of see very similar, not only with the European, but with the ARRR and with the GFS there. So possibly going to maybe see half foot near northern Indiana, may get possibly 4 inches there near Michigan, may get 5 inches there near Ohio, but we're going to be seeing some pretty widespread snow. It's very minimal though, like 2, maybe 4 inches across Kansas and to the east. But it's still going to be pretty rare here. But let's go ahead and look at the Great Lakes. As well, some pretty intense snow. Like I did say, the further east we go, the more intense that snowfall we'll get. That's because that cold front will eventually catch up to these areas. So areas like Lake Huron and the upper northeast may get well over half a foot there. But areas, of course, down there in Missouri, Iowa may get less than 3 inches there. And here's a look at the GFS. A lot more intense snow there across the Rockies. Very similar, but actually getting snow as far south as northern Mississippi. I doubt that's actually going to happen. And I doubt we're going to get any accumulation there across northern Oklahoma. And I doubt we're going to get any really snow accumulation there for Arkansas. I think GFS is definitely very inaccurate with this. I don't see anything too crazy for as far south as Tennessee, anything like that. But hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.